Hey everybody, my name's Chris. Welcome to Casual Fragrance. If you're first time here, thanks for clicking on this fragrance video. On my channel, I talk about fragrances, do fragrance reviews, unboxing, I do free fragrance giveaways. So if you like this type of content, you want to participate in giveaways, click that subscribe button right now to show your support. I really do appreciate that. Click the like button and leave a comment down below. So today's video, you already saw the title. It's how to build a fragrance collection for beginners. So pretty much, I know what it's like to buy fragrances and start from zero to a bunch of fragrances. You guys see my collection behind me. You've seen a lot of videos I've done over about 4 years now. It took a long time to get to this point. I think people need to understand, as reviewers or other reviewers, we've been doing this for 2-3 years or so on and bought different fragrances. Sometimes we would trade fragrances or swap fragrances or buy different fragrances. Now, it takes a while to get a fragrance collection, so please keep that in mind. So I'm going to give you some tips on how to go about starting your fragrance journey from like zero. So let's get it started. You start your fragrance collection, you definitely need to understand the price point. So that's going to be the key word, price point. So some fragrances are going to cost $10, $20, $30, $50, $75 to $100, sometimes $200 to $300. And that can be expensive for people that are jumping into fragrances. And some people might think that's a lot of money, which it is. But if you're looking to try to save money, my first initial thing you should do, ladies and gentlemen, is buy a bunch of samples. Now in this video here, I'm going to show you a bunch of samples I have. I have samples from all the way from 2 ml samples to 10 ml sample, 5 ml sample, pretty much here, even more bigger samples. And when you buy samples, you get to try the fragrance out on your skin for several days and see if you like the fragrance. Like, smell it on your skin, spray it, because even though the fragrance costs $200, you can get a sample for maybe between $8 to $10, and you can save and spray it on your skin and see if you like it for 3 to 4 or to 5 days. Because samples do last a good bit if you do 2 or 3 sprays. And after a couple of days, you'll realize if you really love the fragrance, you're going to buy it. If you say it's okay, I may not buy it, or it sucks, I don't want to buy it. Because when you buy full bottles of fragrances, it's going to be hard to resell it, even through the Facebook group or even on eBay, so on and so forth, because people are going to be like, how much juice you have left, how much you want for it, and how long have you had it, the batch code information, stuff like that, which can be kind of crazy. And you're never going to recuperate the same amount of money unless it's more of an expensive fragrance that you know you can kind of get some of your money back and you can't. Maybe if it's a old batch of a Creed fragrance, or maybe if it's like a Dior Homme, you know, the old batches. Fragrances like that, you probably could get more money for it because those are considered like vintage kind of fragrances that are hard to get, or discontinued fragrances. So if you're in the market of buying a fragrance for the first time, I suggest going to Macy's, Sephora, spray the fragrance on your skin, or see if they have samples, pick up some samples and try fragrances. I'm going to leave links down below for Perfumology.com, EliteFragranceSamples.com, MyFragranceSamples.com, MaxRoma.com. I'm going to leave all the websites down below where you can pick up samples, because they do have decanted samples of most fragrances that are out on the market, and see if you like it before you spend a lot of money on bottles. Number 2 we're going to talk about, we have designer versus niche. So this is going to be a topic that a lot of people want to hear about. So when I started my fragrance journey, I started out with designer fragrances because at the time, that was what I was into. You know, and you guys know about me, my favorite line is Dior, and it's Dior Sauvage EDT. But I do have other designer fragrances like Bleu de Chanel Parfum. You know, and I have other fragrances like Dolce & Gabbana Light Blue Sun, Pour Homme Special Limited Edition. And I have fragrances like Mugler Cologne, and I have John Varvatos Artisan. So what I'm trying to say is that you don't have to go to niche if you like designer fragrances. And designer fragrances are fragrances that you see at typical at the mall. You go to your local mall, like you go to Macy's or Sephora, you know, or sometimes you go to Nordstrom, you know, stuff like that. You're going to see fragrances like these there that are going to be mass appealing fragrances that most women do like the smell of a man. And most people will buy these fragrances. These are highly expensive fragrances. You're looking upward between $70-something for this, and this bottle here for Bleu de Chanel looking at $155 to $125 for a 50 ml. So these are expensive fragrances. And if you like Dior or Chanel fragrances, then well, you're going to be in for a little bit of a spending spree money-wise, but you're going to smell fresh, clean, uplifting. These are fragrances that most people in the world like to smell on a guy, girl, whatever, whoever wants to wear it. These are great fragrances, but I prefer these as more of a gentleman fragrances to wear dressed up or dressed down. But if you're looking for designers, definitely check out these or other fragrances that I have on the list. Niche fragrances. Niche fragrances can get very expensive. And what I mean by that is niche fragrances are companies that specifically are for certain people that like these type of niche and fragrances. That mean that they just like just the fragrances and the companies that make them. They don't make clothes, hats, t-shirts, whatever. They just make strictly fragrances. And these fragrance line we are talking about are very expensive. So if you have extra money, you want to, once you buy samples of niche fragrances and you love them, you're probably going to be a niche head eventually down the road. But this here is Roja Dove Elysium. This is the cologne version. Or you can get fragrances like this from Parfums de Marly or PDM. This is Parfums de Marly Celly. These are high quality niche fragrances. These are your fresh and clean. These are your mass appealing fragrances. If you're coming from a world of Dior Sauvage and Bleu de Chanel, these are going to be mass appealing fragrances that you can jump in from the designer world, jump right into the niche world, and you're going to feel right at home. These are mass appealing, they're sexy smelling fragrances, and the prices are kind of expensive. You're looking at well over $290 to over 250 something bucks for these type of fragrances discounted. I know full retail looking at $290, and this is like about, I think, $275 to $290. So these fragrances are pushing almost $300. But when you smell these fragrances, they're real quality juice. They're not like your cheap kind of like designer fragrances. And these type of fragrances are very more expensive, more high quality. And most people like these niche fragrances, but they're very hard to check out unless you go to like niche boutiques and stuff like that. They don't have these relevant at like Sephora and Macy's, stuff like that, you know. But they might have, they do have Parfums de Marly at Nordstrom, so definitely do your research, check out Nordstrom. They do have this, and they do have discovery kits you can buy with Parfums de Marly. Now another fragrance brand that a lot of people know about, it's called The King. Nonetheless, this is Creed Aventus. So these are the type of fragrances that people always compare each other. This one smells almost like this, or this is the best, but this has a similarity. This has similarity to this here. These are the how can I put it? These are the niche quality fragrances that when you talk about niche fragrances, when you type in niche fragrances, this one comes up or this one comes up. They're really expensive. Looking at about $400 for a Creed fragrance, and you're looking at $294, excuse me, a Roja Dove Elysium. So these are very expensive fragrances, so please keep that in mind when you buy fragrances, or definitely just pick up samples. And I keep saying it because a lot of time people see my reviews and other people's reviews on it, and we all do our thing as reviewers. We're going to be biased about certain fragrances that we may like over other ones, or we love. Like I love Creed Viking, but I'm not going to tell you to go out and blind buy Creed Viking because it's a fragrance that I like the note of peppermint, Sicilian limber, I like the note of bergamot, I like the note of Haitian Vetter, but some people may not like the note of the rose in there. It might come off a little feminine to some people. It might be too much of a barbershop fougere fragrance for some people. So I tell you that you can buy samples. Now in 2020, most fragrance boutiques or fragrance websites do carry samples. You buy them, but you can at least, it's the same juice. You try it on your skin and see if it works, because it might work, it might not. And if you buy a bottle like this for $300-400, you're not going to get your money back trying to sell it. I'm sorry to tell you that. It's not going to work that way. You're going to take a cut or a loss, and then you're not going to want to buy designer niche fragrances again. So please keep that in mind. Please sample first. Buying samples and saving money. So what I mean by buying samples and saving money is that if you buy a 100 ml bottle of Creed Aventus or a 100 ml bottle of Dior Sauvage or Bleu de Chanel, these are fragrances that are mass appealing and smell good. But if you're jumping into fragrances, you don't know what notes you want. You might not like fresh and clean fragrance. You may not like the note of pineapple. You may not like fruity fragrances. You may not like sandalwood. I mean, you might be into more sweet fragrances. And sweet fragrances, I mean, like you might like vanilla or almond, like Parfums de Marly Pegasus. These are the type of things you have to find out when you're entering a fragrance game, because just because you went from like dollar store and maybe, you know, cheap Axe fragrances, this is a whole other ballgame. These are fragrances that actually have notes that are very different than what you smell at in the generic dollar store or Axe or whatever market. These are high quality fragrances, and some of these notes you might really like, you may not really like, you might be put off by the notes. So you have to keep that in mind when you're trying these fragrances out. Definitely go to your boutique, spray it on your skin, 3-4 sprays, go home, see if they can give you a sample. If not, you can buy a sample, because once you wear it a few times, you'll know if you like the fragrance or your significant other likes the fragrance. Because if your girlfriend don't like it or your boyfriend don't like it, well, you don't want to buy a 100 ml bottle of something they don't like it. You can't wear it around them, you know? I mean, I have a big collection where thankfully 98% of my collection, my girlfriend Kelly likes. There's maybe a 2% she doesn't, and you guys know it's already the line of Gucci she just doesn't like at all. Her words, aka, is I smell like an old lady. It is what it is, but what I'm trying to say is that do your research and try each fragrance out and see which one works on your skin. Now, the tough thing I'm going to talk about now is something that people do a lot. I've done it a few times in my journey, so I'm at fault for doing it. I'll put my hand up. Blind buying fragrances. So it's something that I would not tell anybody to do. I mean, it's one of those things where it's like you're going to either catch fire or not catch fire. You might hit or you might miss with the fragrance. And if they're really expensive fragrance, you don't want to blind buy. Now, I've blind bought maybe 2 or 3 fragrances, you know, in my collection. I know I bought Zara Wild Mint and I bought a Zara Ginger Lover. I've heard good other reviewers about those fragrances, and I'm a mint lover anyway as a fragrance, so I would tend to like mint, and the fragrance was $25. So for me, $25 isn't a big loss. As I'm a reviewer, I do have to review fragrances, so I sometimes end up blind buying fragrances, but I would never blind buy a $200, $100 fragrance. Maybe $50 and below I will, because, you know, I'm curious how it smells and it has notes that I like. So if you blind buy a fragrance and it has notes that you like, then maybe you'll be okay, but I would never suggest doing that. Even as a newbie, that's like playing with fire. Don't do it, because you're going to regret it and you may not want to buy fragrances again. That's why I keep harping on spray it on your skin, go to a boutique, go to a store, buy samples online, because once you get the sample, you can wear it for 2 or 3 days, however size sample you get. I would suggest getting a 5 or 10 ml sample to try it out for several days, and you'll know within 3 to 4 days if you love the fragrance, you hate the fragrance, or you say it's okay, I don't want to spend that type of money on a designer or niche fragrance. Now, my other thing is reviewers. Watch reviewers. There's a whole bunch of us on the web, and I have my own favorite top 10 reviewers, which I might do a review down the road, but I have a bunch of reviewers that I watch and I enjoy their content, and I know what type of notes that they like in fragrance, and I feel the same way. So if a reviewer talks about mint or talks about bergamot or lemon, I know I'm going to tend to like that fragrance because I like fresh and clean fragrances. Where I go to work, I want to smell fresh and clean. I want to be a gentleman when I go places. I don't want to offend people. I do like the note of oud, but I know there's a time and place when to wear it, whether it's at home, just relaxing, or if I want to wear it out, but maybe do one spray, not around a lot of people. That's just how I feel about that note as oud. But some people may not like the note of oud or vanilla. They may not like sweet fragrance. They might like more fresh and clean, and vice versa. They may not like fresh and clean fragrances or shower gel. They might like sweet vanilla, caramel, cocoa. They might like those type of fragrances, which is fine. So definitely you need to figure out what kind of notes you like in the fragrance, smell the fragrance on your skin, and see what you like and you don't like, because you might favor one over the other note-wise, like in a note breakdown. At the end of the day, you need to take your time and just enjoy wearing fragrances. You need to go out, try sample after sample. Don't buy a bunch of fragrances like you see behind me, because, you know, I have a big collection, but I wear my fragrances. I review them for different top 10 lists. I have Liz on the channel. I have a couple guys on the channel. I try to have people on the channel to try these fragrances and see if they like them for review purposes. As a reviewer, I'm constantly checking stuff out. So to kind of being a reviewer, I can't wear what I want to wear sometimes. I have to try out new fragrances for the channel, or if subscribers email me or leave comments saying, can you try out the new Dolce & Gabbana, the new Dior Sauvage, the new Chanel, and I do that because that's what I do on my channel. But at the end of the day, you're not a reviewer. So what I advise you guys to do, ladies and gentlemen, is to try fragrance out, spray them on your skin, go to stores, see if you can get samples, and then once you find a fragrance that you love, you can do 2 things. You can buy a 50 ml bottle, or you can buy a 100 ml bottle. It's up to you. Now, I feel as a 100 ml bottle will last longer. You get a better price or a bang for your buck than a 50 ml. But if you feel like you're going to want to buy more fragrances down the road, then I will get a 50 ml and then buy another 50 ml bottle. Unless you want to wear one fragrance as a signature scent. Some people buy a 100 ml bottle of Creed Aventus, and that's what they wear all year round. And that's fine. I mean, I have a bunch of 50 ml, 100 ml bottles, and sometimes I can't go through all of them. So I try to buy 50 ml bottles moving forward in my fragrance journey. So it's up to you. Please keep that in mind. Sometimes the sales associate try to butter you up to buy a 100 ml bottle when they don't have any 50 mils, or it's only $20 more. And if you really like the fragrance or you love it, sure, spend the other $20 and get a 100 ml bottle. But if you feel like you're not going to go through it and you're going to want to buy more fragrances after watching more fragrance reviewers, I suggest get 50 ml bottles and be on the safe side. So, ladies and gentlemen, at the end of the day, I just want you guys to be smart and save money. I don't want you to buy a bunch of fragrances and don't wear them, because there's no sense to buy a bunch of cheap fragrances if you don't wear them. It's not awesome to buy a bunch of banging niche fragrances and you don't wear them at all. You just show them off, or buy a bunch of designer fragrances. Buy fragrances that you're going to pick up and just wear, whether it's dressed up or dressed down. That's the point of this video, so keep that in mind. I'm gonna leave all the links down below to try to save on fragrances at Fragrance X, Fragrance Buy, FragranceBuy.ca, or Perfumology. I'm gonna leave links down below where you can buy the bottles of fragrances or you can buy samples. I don't get any commission from any of these companies. I'm gonna leave all the links. These are where I buy my own bottles or samples from for my channel to review. If you like these type of videos, cool. Click that like button. Please click that subscribe button to show your support for the channel. If you're new here, leave a comment down below. What kind of tips would you give new people trying to begin starting fragrances? Leave your comments down below. Thanks for watching another fragrance video. I'll see you guys in the next one.